as we saw in the consultation, the ATRm still requires certain information to be included in the registration dossier, depending on the substance type and the tonnage band. So we are talking about classification, labeling information, PBT, PNEC values, DNEL values. This is derived information. What it means is that it's derived from physics, chem-tox, ecotox, endpoint data. Physical chemical properties, these are not derived because these are endpoint data. But then we have CSRs for non-classified substances or non-article 14.4 substances. And then we have, of course, CSRs for classified substances. This is also, of course, derived. Now the question is, can the derived information be used? So do I need to pay for example, for the PNEC and DNEL values or other data when I'm registering according to the ATRm model? So typically these DNELs and PNEC and classification labeling type of information, it's available in the ESDSs or safety data sheets or extended safety data sheets passed down the supply chain, for example, from EU and EEA suppliers, so registrants. And if you are in Great Britain, then you would receive this safety data sheet, and the question is, what can I do with this information? Well, obviously you can re-author your safety data sheet and include the same information and pass it down to your customers so that the correct information is propagated down the supply chain to your DUs and they can benefit from that. Same information, by the way, can also be found to a high degree from ATRm. But the big question is, can this information be used for UK REACH registration purposes according to this alternative transitional registration model? If you read between the lines, it's somehow evident in the consultation, or they don't take stake to it, but it almost implies that you have somehow access to this DNEL and PNEC values for easy use in your UK REACH registration. But this may not be the case. Open questions. Can the information be copied into the UK REACH dossier from EU REACH, from safety data sheets, from ATRm, other sources? What about the data owners of the underlying studies? So again, not the derived end results, the PNEC and so values, for example, DNEL values, but the actual studies that provide the underlying data for deriving these values. Can that be used? How should we consider this when determining costs? So I'm pretty sure, as stated in the slides, I'm pretty sure that the owners of the data having the IPR or the underlying endpoint data used for these derivations of these PNECs and DNELs, for example, pretty sure they would not be very happy if we just take the PNEC and DNEL values and use them, for example, PNEC and DNEL values and use them for our UK REACH registration purposes without some sort of permission or compensation. So the question is, will then the lead registrant on behalf of the substance group still need to purchase data from EU REACH data holders? And this now is the big question. I do not know. I would be inclined to say that they would need some sort of a permission, but this is for lawyers to determine, and probably a separate subject for a separate webinar where we can go into this in more detail, having discussed from a contractual IPR with some IPR related lawyers and etc. to be seen. And then also about this CSR, as we discussed. What about using the EU CSR as a template for UK REACH CSR purposes, where we take away quite a lot of information, but we still use it as a template because it has to have the same information, because if it deviates, then we have to provide justifications for why it has deviated. Maybe that means we have to actually provide endpoint data. We do not know. So can you use the CSR, for example, without permission? Likely not. Same as for the underlying endpoint data.